I think during the First World War, agriculture was fairly prosperous. Farmers were given guaranteed prices for their wheat. There was guaranteed prices for milk, and so I think at the end of towards the end of the First World War, there was a lot of optimism in Victoria and Australia about farming conditions, and so when soldiers came back from the war, there was, I think, a sense that we could reward these soldiers by allowing them to take up land as a result of the duty they've done for us overseas. So there's an idea in Australia that we didn't want vast open expanses of squatting runs, pastoral runs with sheep and cattle, but we wanted intense cultivation, intense husbandry of stock across Victoria. So in the early years of the 20th century, a whole series of estates were bought by the state government from the former pastoral owners, the squatters as we'd call them in Australian history, put irrigation channels through, and then to break those big estates up and put small-scale farmers. So where once upon a time you maybe had one man on 5,000 acres, you would now have, several hundred men on, say, 30 to 40 acres. And there's this dream of a sort of green Victoria with sort of homesteads dotted across the countryside, and a man, his wife and his children industriously working those small estates. Now what I should also say is happening, because I think this is very important for soldier settlement, is before the First World War there is an attempt for the first time in Victoria to settle what's known as mallee country. The mallee is a sort of multi-stemmed tree, and in the early 20th century they found ways of quickly mowing down this vegetation and farming those mallee blocks in two ways, basically for wheat, oats for their horses and the like, but also growing wool. So I think towards the end of the war, when the government is looking at a way to reward soldiers for the service they'd done overseas, they turn to the Closer Settlement Acts. They turn to the notion of settling settlers in the mallee, and they see this as a way of providing farms for soldier settlers.